Hi everybody, and welcome back to Ukulele Summer. My song for you this week is Make Me Down, a Pallet on Your Floor. A blues, folk, jazz, standard, not really sure what genre it came out of because it kind of leans in all those different directions. It's been covered by a lot of folks, perhaps most famously by Mississippi John Hurt traditionally, and more recently by Gillian Welch. I've sort of created a bit of a mishmash for you here of different versions that I've heard and that I enjoy playing myself. I'm going to play it in the key of D, so make sure you're familiar with that classic family of chords in the key of D. We've got our D chord, of course, is the root, and then we've got our G chord in A7. You want to make sure you're familiar with all of those, plus a couple extras. I'm going to teach you sort of a fancier version of this one, and then on my website I will have a slightly easier version that just sticks to those three chords. If that's enough for you to work on, look for that. But if you want to try a little challenge, we're also going to have an F-sharp 7 chord, which looks like this, and you may recognize the shape. It's like an E7 chord. My index finger is on G, middle is on C, and ring finger is on A, just like an E7. What I'm going to do is take that shape and scooch it up so it's on the 3rd and 4th fret. So when I go from D to F-sharp 7, I can think of it either as spreading those fingers out to E7 and then moving up, or preferably at some point I'm going to want to get to the point of just going from D up to that F-sharp 7, feeling comfortable with that. So that's one chord that's going to come in, and then we're also going to go from the G chord to the G minor chord, and that requires a little bit of flip-flopping of fingers. What I'm going to do is leave my ring finger where it is, take my index finger back to the 1st fret of A, and then move my middle where the index was over to the 2nd fret of C to get that nice minor sound. So make sure you're feeling good about that G to G minor. And again, if those feel like a little bit out of your comfort zone for right now, check the website for a 3-chord version of this song that you can play as well. Let's talk about the chord progression. 4 lines to this song, as most of the songs that I've picked for this summer. We're going to start with what I call a seesaw pattern, and that is just a couple measures of one chord, a couple measures of another. You're just kind of seesawing back and forth. In this case, typically in the key of D, we would start a song on the key of D, but we're actually going to start on G. Sort of an unusual example, always fun to throw those in there. So I'm going to have 2 measures of G to start with, and over to 2 measures of D. And then again, seesaw back to G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and seesaw back to D, 2, 3, 4, and stay right there now. Here's where it gets interesting. The 3rd line, we're going to start on D, move up to that F-sharp 7, then over to G, and swap out to the G minor. This may sound familiar to you. It's a bit similar to the chord progression that we had on When the Saints Go Marching In. A little bit different, and of course a different key, but that same kind of circle that is, we're eventually going to come back to D, so it's a circle that's going around, but that just sort of heightens the emotion and excitement and tension of the song. So once again, that 3rd line, we're going to play 1 measure of D, 1 measure of F-sharp 7, 1 measure of G, and 1 measure of G minor, just like that. And then we're going to close it out with that classic sandwich of D to A7 and back to D for 2 measures to close it out. And I say that classic sandwich because we've done it in other songs, in other keys, that root chord out to what's called the 5 chord. In this case, it's A7, back to D. There are so many songs that end with that little sandwich. So I like to think of it as a little unit in and of itself. So let's play through it again. No interruptions and not as much gab from me. But again, 4 lines. You've got 2 lines at the beginning of that seesaw pattern. The 3rd line is that magic circle with those fancy chords. And then the 4th line is the sandwich at the end to kind of put a little bow on the whole thing. And that's it. Those are all the chords that you need for it. Let's try it here. Starting on G. I'm on autopilot wanting to start on D since we're in the key of D, but we're going to start on G here. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, and back to G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Here's interesting. D to F sharp 7, 1, 2, 3 to G, 1, 2, G minor and 1, 2, 3 and D, 3, 4, A7 and back to D. Let's add a swing strum. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might want to make it a calypso. 1, 2 with that little syncopated beat in there if you like. Most important is the swing beat. Here's the circle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the sandwich. 1, 2, 3. Let's add some words. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Make me down a pallet soft and low. When I'm broken, I got nowhere to go. And then we start it all over again. Pause right there for now. Feel free to also pause the video and review whatever you need to before we move along, but when you're ready, you can play it along with me next. Here's Make Me Down, a Pallet on Your Floor. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, ready, go. Here's verse 1. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Make me down a pallet on your floor. Make me down a pallet soft and low. When I'm broken, I got nowhere to go. Been hanging around a good time friends of mine. Been hanging around a good time friends of mine. Oh, they treat me very nice and kind. When I've got a dollar and a dime. Weary blues everywhere I see. Weary blues everywhere I see. Weary blues, honey, everywhere I see. No one ever had the blues like me. So won't you make me down a pallet on your floor? Make me down a pallet on your floor. Make me down a pallet soft and low. When I'm broken, I got no place to go. Make me down a pallet soft and low. Babe, I'm broken, I got nowhere to go. Have fun with that one, everybody. Enjoy.